Today we are talking about all of the CS2 current market craziness once again because things are really all over the place, and every single day we are getting so much new news and so many new updates. The last couple of videos have been doing really well. Obviously it seems like myself included, many people are on the edge of their seats and they just can't wait to see what's going to happen next with all these different trading sites, with CS2 trading in general, with CS2 investing in general, where the markets are headed. This is such a crazy time because the CS2 game is increasing in popularity. The player base is seemingly increasing like every week right now. We just came off of a really hype and exciting Copenhagen Major. The game has been getting better and better. Yeah, we've had, I know today, some kind of catastrophic bugs and exploits and stuff like that, but things have been going really well on the CS2 side. It seemed like we were primed for like a market explosion, and now all of a sudden people are kind of frozen in fear. People don't really know what to expect or what the heck is going on. But in this video today, we'll hopefully catch you up to date and catch you up to speed with everything that's been going on. A lot of it certainly doesn't make sense, and one of the things that still doesn't make sense to a lot of people, and again, partly myself included, is the fact that we have not seen any kind of market crash. We have not even seen any kind of market dip. We've actually seen a market increase. Again, a lot of this stuff started happening early April 1st, 2nd, 3rd, whatever. Here's where the market was at that time. This is according to the Esport Fire CSGO All Items graph. And as you can see, in the past week or in the past 4 or 5 days, we've seen the markets increase and actually hold pretty steady. Now, there have been some items that have dropped a little bit, but across the board, it does seem like most items are either flat, down a little tiny bit, or even up a little tiny bit. Again, we have certainly not seen a crash or dip of any kind. So again, I've been talking about how if we did see a dip, I would be interested in buying that dip, because I think in a large part, a lot of these issues are going to be short-term and medium-term headwinds, but in the long term, it's not really going to make sense. But for the most part, there hasn't really even been too much of a dip to buy, and a lot of people think that doesn't make sense. Now, again, I know there are a lot of people saying, hey, watch out, be careful. In a couple weeks, we might see some kind of dip because, again, there isn't a way for everyone to sell. Not everyone has Buff 163 access. Not everyone has access to a lot of the liquidity options. And people who did decide to cash out with some of these bot trading websites, there is that 7-day trade hold. So the people who are panic selling or cashing out might actually be crashing the market in a couple days' time once those trade holds are actually up. Now, again, I think that could happen a little bit. I could think we could definitely see some kind of drop over the next week or whatever, and I wouldn't be totally shocked, but I don't think it's going to be some kind of catastrophic market crash, because I think if that was the case, we would already be seeing that, because again, there are so many people that are attempting to cash out with cash traders and stuff right now, and there are a ton of people who can just get access to Buff 163 in certain different ways. And also keep in mind, there are still some other trading websites that are working. Again, SkinBid is now online. Buff Market is working right now. So if people were really rushing to the exits in the amount that they claim, we would be seeing sell-offs across so many of these different sites, and I don't think, like, hey, once Skinport is able to sell a bunch of skins, that's when we're going to see the market crash. I think people are overblowing that a little bit. I would kind of be careful for that. But yes, one thing that totally does not make sense is where the market has been. Again, we have not seen a dip at all. Maybe that's because we're in this CS investing bubble or the CS Twitter bubble that really is not a part of the bigger player base or even the bigger, market economy and all that stuff. I don't really know, but so far the market has remained pretty even keel. Now, again, another one of the things that doesn't make sense is it seems like with Valve, one of the main kind of ideas or something that they were going for, one of the main goals of some of these new updates were to combat some of these gambling sites. CSGO Empire, probably first and foremost. Obviously, they're the ones that kind of caused the drama at the Copenhagen scene or were responsible for it or whatever. And Valve obviously wanted to stick it to them, or that's at least what it seems like. I don't think Valve had in mind that they were going to try and take down Buff or take down Flow or take down SkinBid or any of these sites or GamerPay or whatever, but they did want to combat gambling, as I'm sure they always want to, but especially after a stunt like this, they wanted to go after CSGO Empire and some of these other sites and try and really assert that power and everything. But one of the things that doesn't make sense is, hey, this has had a huge impact on the community as a whole and liquidity in the markets and people's investments and people's monies. A lot of people have their entire savings or their entire net worth in CS items, which again, that's not really Valve's problem, but they do have to be a little bit mindful of that because they can't be totally ignorant to that, because they know how big their economy is and they know how much this affects people, and they directly profit off that. You can say, oh, Valve's just running CS2, they don't care, but they do give a shit, because the fact that people have so much money and time and everything invested into this is a reason why they keep coming back to CS2 And it's also a reason why they're able to make so much money off of selling stuff like cases and making so much money off the Steam market and stuff like that. But again, Valve wanted to, at least we think, stick it to places like CSGO Empire, but in the process, they've hurt a lot of other people. And have they really hurt CSGO Empire? Again, CSGO Empire recently announced they're going to be moving to some kind of new website that's going to be specifically for some of their gambling stuff. And also, they now announced peer-to-peer trading is live with CSGO Empire on their site. Skin deposits and withdrawals are now back up on CSGO Empire. See below to learn what changes were made and how you can use a new peer-to-peer system. Thank you all for being incredibly patient and supportive as our team worked around the clock to get this ready. Instead of using your API key to track trades, we'll now rely solely on an escrow system where your seller and buyer will manually confirm that an item was successfully delivered. In the case of disputes, buyers can report trades to our support team for manual verification. Unlike other marketplaces, the escrow system does not use a session hijack or require an extension since it's entirely manual. This means that CSGO Empire will never have access to your Steam account, private account information, or access to your skins for tracking. So, again, Valve was trying to hit these sites or sites like this, but it doesn't really seem like they're being too negatively impacted so far. And it actually seems like they're one of the first websites rolling out a solution, which I do actually think is a pretty decent solution. I think that this is similar to the solution that Skinbit has come up with. And of course, I don't really give a shit about CSGO Empire. Obviously, I think, especially if they're responsible for most of this, fuck them, whatever. Don't really care. Don't really want to give them too much credit or advertisement or whatever. But I do think that this is a good sign because it shows that there are solutions and workarounds to this, and I think that a lot of the other websites could take note. Now, is this an amazingly perfect long-term solution? Is this solution really scalable? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but this is something that websites like Float and GamerPay and all these other sites could take notes on, and this is definitely something that they could implement, and I could actually see it working decently well. Now, again, at a grand scale, where you're going to have a ton of disputes and a ton of things that need to be manually verified and whatever. Is that super practical? Maybe not. But again, a lot of it doesn't even need to be manual because if the seller says, hey, I sent this, and the buyer says, hey, I received this, and they're both click a button that says they're good with it, then you can just put the trade through and it doesn't really matter if it is or isn't or whatever, because if everybody agreed to it, then it is. And obviously you'd have to review the cases where there's some disputes or whatever. It kind of would depend how many disputes and everything you're getting. I don't know. But again, CSGO Empire does have some solution in place. So again, if Valve's intention was to make them suffer forever, doesn't really seem like they're suffering. It seems like the people who are suffering at the end of the day are a lot of the CS2 players, a lot of CS2 investors, and some of the other CS2 websites that had nothing to do with the drama at the Copenhagen Major, whatever. I know there are some people sending out kind of warnings and stuff out there. I at least wanted to share this. I don't really agree with this, but I do think it's important to get all the different viewpoints and opinions and stuff out there because this is something definitely to keep in mind at the very least. He says, to all Buff163 traders and any other traders, just a random guy on Twitter, I don't really know who this is, I have a feeling that there will be a big ban wave for anyone who uses them. Buff163 needs your session token in order to do all their automations. This is risky as your session literally connects from the other part of the world. Plus, you technically can't use automation for your own gain. Please proceed with caution. Remember that Buff163 is a third party, not an official member. Valve can do whatever they want, and it's risky to share a session with a third party. Be careful as this is a gray zone. Now, of course, at the end of the day, yes, Valve can do whatever they want, and there actually has been some people who have gotten community bans and stuff for like different stuff like this. I know I was using Case Move, and Valve like noticed that, hey, I had sessions that were like seemingly not me or whatever, and I ended up getting like a 7-day trade hold, and I had to change my password and blah, 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 all that stuff happened. They ended up verifying that like, hey, my account was fine, it wasn't compromised. But yes, sometimes having other places use your session can flag on Valve's end as your account being compromised, and that doesn't mean they're going to ban you, but it means they're going to try and keep your account safe, and then you could have some restrictions put in place or whatever, and that's what happened to me when using Case Move. So I've had to be more careful using that in the future and make sure I'm not having multiple sessions live at the same time or not doing multiple different things at the same time. So again, at the end of the day, I don't think people who use Buff are going to get banned, but I could see how people could say that, and at the end of the day, Valve can do whatever they want, and again, a lot of this stuff is against terms of service, even though Valve does openly allow it or whatever. They could decide to not at any point in time. And again, throughout the history of CS, we've seen huge sites banned before. We've seen huge sites taken down before. Now, obviously, I don't think it's in Valve's best interest to take down Buff163, and I don't think Buff163 or any of these other sites have done anything wrong. But at the end of the day, Valve could do anything they want, and just understand that by breaking the terms of service, yes, you are always at a little bit of risk, or maybe even a medium amount of risk or whatever. But that's kind of the risk that we take in the CS markets in general. But as long as the returns are good, then hey, there is, there's never reward without a little bit of risk. But I don't know, kind of keep this in mind. It's at least an interesting opinion. He's definitely not the only person saying that. Now, CS Float a couple days ago put out an update that a lot of people were worried about. They said CS Float is rolling out a temporary update to our extension that enables the ability to verify trades similar to sites such as Buff163. This is an opt-in system and intended to verify the current, existing, and pending sales on the site. The functionality has to be explicitly enabled by the user in order to verify pending sales. Long-term, we're working on a more privacy-centric solution for everything. People were worried about this because, again, this is similar session hijacking and stuff like that Buff163 uses. But again, it wasn't for all trades on the site. It was just for trades that were currently in progress that CS Float was trying to, let people get through if they wanted to, while some of these trades were stuck in limbo. But they did, turn off allowing new trades and new sales and stuff to happen. But the new update here is that CS Float has announced today that they're rolling out a new version that reverts those changes. So they will no longer be offering those session hijacking options. It was just kind of a short-term solution for some of these trades that were stuck in limbo. As we mentioned, this was a temporary measure to verify the progress in trades stuck during the Steam updates and was available as an opt-in basis for those affected. We're working hard on a new privacy-preserving system for verification over the next few days. Stay tuned for updates. So again, CS Float thinks they might have a new update coming out in the next few days. CS Float, again, still not active. You cannot purchase or sell items due to the Steam changes. We'll have to wait and see, but maybe a new update could be coming in the next few days from them. And again, if and when Float does come back online, that's going to be a great sign for the markets. And if Float is able to come back online, then everything's going to be okay. Now, the one reason to maybe panic or that we could see some kind of market crash or whatever is if Float comes back and says, hey, we can't figure out any solutions, we need to cease operations. Until that happens, I don't think there's really any reason to panic too much because they think they're going to be okay. GamerPay, lastly, they put out this important update. As we've highlighted yesterday, we're working hard on opening up again. We found a path forward that does not include making any invasive actions or putting users' account at risk. However, there will also demand a far better internal operating process. We will share more later in the coming week. In the meantime, as GamerPay is not working, we feel it's only fair to remove any potential constraints on users and their funds. Consequently, we're allowing users to withdraw their balance for free until the relaunch of GamerPay. So if you have any balance on GamerPay that you've been looking to get off, you can withdraw it for free now. That's pretty cool. And they hope they can put a smile on some faces, have a nice weekend. Someone said, wait, GamerPay isn't working right now. They're trying to get some skins, blah, blah, blah. GamerPay says, yes, we expect to be fully up and running in 1 to 2 weeks' time. So that is another update. And again, this is another site saying that they think they will be back soon. So again, according to at least these people, maybe you trust them, maybe they don't, GamerPay, Float, some of these other websites, they expect to be back online very, very soon, which means this is just a short term, this is just a temporary issue, a temporary headwind. Now, of course, the other hand is, even if they do find some workarounds or some solutions or whatever, Valve can always come back and fuck them over once again. They can keep playing this cat and mouse game, but maybe they will, maybe they won't. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But at least from the people running a couple of these sites, they do not think this will be a long-term issue. And again, the markets, investing, all this stuff, this is long-term. So if it's long-term not going to be an issue, then at the end of the day, it shouldn't really matter. But we'll have to wait and see. Who knows what's going to happen next? It's very, very interesting and crazy times. Definitely some unprecedented stuff going on. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Hopefully I catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.